Hey everyone, so it's Hearth and welcome back to my channel. So on today's video we're going to be setting up my Lammas altar. Now for any of you who've been here for a while, you will likely know that each Sabbath I set up a brand new Sabbath altar, and today is no different. We are going to be taking down my Letha altar and replacing it with my Lammas altar. Now this video is probably going to go up after the celebration has already finished, and that's mainly because I don't celebrate the Sabbaths as an individual day or even a couple of days. I celebrate them as an entire season, which gives me a little bit more flexibility to set up altars and to do traditional celebrations depending on when I have the time, instead of having to do it on an exact set date, which isn't for everyone, but it really works for me. Now this is going to be mostly time-lapse, so sit back and enjoy as I do the hard work of setting up my altar, and then I'll come back afterwards and chat a little bit more about it. So this is the altar all set up. Now it isn't too much of a change from my last altar, but with these I'm trying to emphasize the subtle changes between seasons and also between Sabbaths as well. So generally speaking, the first half of the year I'm emphasizing feminine energy as well as new beginnings, new growth and the sun. And then as we go into the darker half of the year, I tend to emphasize the more masculine energy as well as the more earthly energies. So I'm starting to focus on the rutting season as well as autumnal energies, the harvesting of plants, the darkening of the days, and generally just easing my way into the darkness that's going to be coming from probably about September onwards, knowing what England is typically like. So the biggest change on this altar is the art print. Last Sabbath I used the Sun tarot card print. This time it is this beautiful stag print. Now unfortunately it's too big to get it all in shot, but it is so pretty. It's from an artist on Redbubble, so if I can find them and the artwork I will link it down in the description box. On the other side, I have switched out my goddess. So where this goddess is usually gold, she's now a very natural and green colour. I do have two that I interchange with a tiger eye sphere in her stomach. And I generally switch them out around this time of year because I like the very earthly, very natural look that this particular goddess has. I then, in the centre, have my hair statue, same as always. I very much like focusing on the natural energies at this season. And so for me, hares, deers, I love them both, so they go on this altar together. So to the left, we have a god and goddess plaque. Now I am using this to represent the change in seasons, the shifting from the light half of the year into the darker half of the year. Because of how the weather's been recently, it has been really, really stinking hot here, but all of a sudden it's gone rainy, it's gone dark. It's still technically light outside, but it's so rainy today that you couldn't actually tell. So for me, this is a real emphasis on the symbolism between the changing from the light season of the year and more into the dark season of the year. To the far end of the altar, we have my precious little doll. So this is my altar doll. She is a hearth doll, a protective doll, and she is currently living on this altar. She has lived on this altar for as long as I've had her, so she is still here this time. Today though, she's residing all the way on the left-hand side, just because it's the most effective place for me to put her. She's a little hidden in darkness, but in real life, she is way, way easier to see. The cards on the altar this season are from the Forest Fae Oracle deck. These two were the cards that I chose this season. The one on the right is the Mandragora Mother, find the secrets hidden in the brambles. And I chose this one because brambles are currently everywhere. It's about to be blackcurrant season, so she is definitely very significant at this time of year. And then I actually did a draw right before I set up this altar, and this was the card that came out. This is the Gatekeeper. Let go, all things are possible on the borderlands. And I thought that was quite fitting for this time of year, so they are both sat on this altar. Now I do have a few pumpkins dotted around this altar. I typically tend to like adding them from about this time in August all the way up through October, mainly because I love me a good pumpkin, and it is the perfect time for it because it is the start of harvest season. Now I also have my athame and my antler wand on this altar. They're probably going to be on all of my altars because I find them so symbolic as tools, but especially the wand, because it is made of natural fallen antler with the crystals and stones in it and the tiger eye set in the side. I feel like it's a really appropriate tool for this time of year, especially with how much I relate this season with stags and deer in general, so this had to make it to the altar. And then the last two pieces are a smoked vanilla candle. Now I might have made it to the Halloween section in TK Maxx yesterday, where I might have bought a lot of candles, and this was one of them, and it's just such a beautiful looking candle. The lid of it actually has a raven on it, which I thought was extra cool, but obviously I can't light it and keep the lid on it. But generally I like sitting of an evening with candles, especially when I'm reading, doing research, writing, whatever it is that I'm doing. I really like having this space to be an area where I can have candles. So I've chosen this one. It might not be the most season appropriate, but you know what, it's pretty and it smells nice, and that is good enough for me. And then the last thing is actually an oil warmer. Now sitting in it is not oil, it is actually loose incense. This is Keranos incense, and I've been using this for the last maybe like 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks coming up to, and I am loving it. So this is another technique for burning loose incense. If you don't want to have to deal with the smoke, if you don't want to set off your fire alarms, you can use an oil warmer or an incense burner that's designed to not set fire to the incense. And you put a tea light underneath it and you put the incense on top, and it releases the fragrance of the incense as a very nice natural aroma. I have noticed that this goes straight upstairs, so I will be smelling this for like the next 3 days upstairs, but it's just a really nice way of adding fragrance into a space without having to deal with all of that smoke. So this is the altar for this season, and I'm really, really happy with it. I was a little bit concerned that it wouldn't be enough of a change, but I think it is. I think it looks different than last time. At least I think it looks different to last time. You might not agree, but I am really, really happy with it. So hopefully I can enjoy it for the rest of the season. So that is the altar all set up, and although it probably doesn't look drastically different from the last altar that I did, I really, really like the way it looks. I really like how natural and earthy it is, and also I just really like change. I am the kind of person that will just like reorganize things just because it makes things feel new, and so I was getting a little bit tired of my old altar, so this one looks so, so nice. I'm also really happy I managed to go to TK Maxx and and get some of those candles because they are so lovely. And honestly, just having a fresh start with new things out makes sense for me. I just found myself a little bit tired of my Letha altar, mainly because it didn't really match the season anymore. I had the Stonehenge card, I had the Chalice Well pendant on there, and although it made sense at the time, now that we've kind of progressed a little bit more in the year, the heat wave that we had a couple weeks ago is now gone, and it's chucking it down. Like, it's so dark outside right now, you'd think it was the middle of the night, and it's not. It's only about 9:30, and yet it's chucking it down, it's torrential. It feels very autumnal. It makes me want to buy Halloween decorations. And so I really needed a change on my altar, and this massively helped just to change the way my living room looks as well, because an altar can make a really, really big difference. So I hope that you did enjoy this video. If you did, feel free to give it a like. It really means so much to me. Have you set up your Lammas Lughnasadh altar yet? Are you going to set one up? If so, what are you planning, or what have you put on it? And also, just how are you celebrating if you do celebrate? I love seeing how loads of different people do it. I know lots of people make bread. I am not a particularly good baker. I'm honestly not a particularly good cook, so bread is kind of way out of my league, so I will stick to just like making things with my hands that don't require me to eat them afterwards. But if you do make bread, let me know, because I know lots of people do that. If you do have any questions, comments, or video ideas, feel free to post them down in the comment section. We do also have a Discord server, the link is in the description, and a massive shout out to all of my Patreon supporters. Your names will be on the end screen in just a moment. If you do enjoy the magical content on this channel in this video, feel free to hit subscribe. I try my best to post magical content every single week. I'm not sure if that sentence came out with the words in the right order, but I really, really hope it did. I hope you have a marvelous, magical day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!